Let's piss some people off.
A lot of people think silence means peace, especially at home. But what if the quiet isn't calm? What if it's distance? What if the person who used to bring things up, who used to try, who used to want to talk, is now silent, not because everything's okay, but because they stopped believing the conversation was safe? That's what we're talking about today. Hi, and welcome back to I Am Spice, the podcast. If you're new here, this is a space of honest conversations, the kind people usually avoid because they're uncomfortable, messy, or hard to name. And if you've been here for a while, thank you so much for listening, for sharing, for helping this space grow through truth, not performance. And if this episode resonates, please subscribe. And if someone comes to mind while you're listening, share with them as well. That's how this podcast reaches the people who need it the most. Today, we're talking about silence and what it really means when someone stops trying to talk. There's a story a lot of us grow up with. If no one's arguing, then things must be fine. If no one's complaining, there must be peace. If the house is quiet, everything must be okay. But that's not always true. Sometimes the quiet isn't calm, it's cautious. If someone's choosing silence because speaking has started to feel risky. In a lot of relationships, there's usually one person who keeps reaching out. The one who says, "Can we talk? Something feels off. I don't want this to keep building. I want us to fix things now." That person doesn't bring things up because they like conflict. They bring things up because they're trying to protect the relationship. Hard conversations are their way of saying, "This matters to me. You matter to me. I don't want distance to grow between us." But when those conversations are met with fear, fear of discomfort, fear of accountability, fear of being wrong, something starts to shift. A lot of people avoid hard conversations not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to sit in discomfort. So they deny it. They deflect, they shut down, they say it's not a big deal, that's not how I meant it, that's not how it is. They minimize it, they change the subject. And at first, that might feel like keeping the peace. But what it actually does is teaches the other person something. It teaches them that conversation isn't welcomed here. So the person who keeps reaching out starts reaching less. Not because they stop caring, but because they're tired of hitting a wall. And this is where silence begins. Not dramatic silence, not angry silence. The quiet that sounds like, "It's fine. Never mind. Oh, don't worry about it." But inside, something is changing. They stop naming the small thing. They stop asking for repair. They stop trying to fix things in a moment. And instead, they hold it. At first, it feels like relief to that person. Less tension. Fewer uncomfortable talks. But over time, that quiet turns really heavy. Here's what often gets missed when someone shuts down emotionally. It doesn't just affect conversations, it affects everything else. Connection changes, affection changes, intimacy changes, care changes. And later people say things like, "We don't feel close anymore. They're distant. Something's off with her." But they don't connect it back to the moment the hard conversation stopped. Distance didn't come out of nowhere. It started when talking stopped being safe to that person. Here's something uncomfortable but important. if someone is still bringing things up and is still complaining, still nagging, as you call it, still wanting to talk, that usually means that they still care. It means they still believe the relationship can grow. But when that stops, when someone no longer says anything, that's often not peace. That's emotional detachment. And detachment doesn't announce itself. It's just quietly changes how someone shows up. And let me be clear, this is not about shame. It's about understanding the patterns. Many women are deeply connected to their emotional world. They respond to how safe, seen, and valued they feel in a relationship. So when emotional conversations are avoided, when curiosity from their partner is missing, when accountability is shut down, the response isn't always anger. Sometimes it's withdrawal. They stop reaching, they stop initiating intimacy, they stop trying. And later, people wonder why intimacy faded, warmth has faded, effort feels one-sided, but emotional safety had already faded first, but you didn't clock it. Hard conversations are uncomfortable, but they are also how relationships grow. Avoiding them doesn't protect the relationship, it freezes it. And before you can have those conversations with someone else, you have to have them with yourself. You have to ask yourself, what am I feeling? What am I carrying? What am I willing to accept? What am I no longer okay with? Only then can you bring honesty into the relationship. But that honesty can't survive if it's constantly shut down. You can build intimacy where truth isn't welcome. You just can't. And here's a question hiding underneath all of this. Do you want a partner who speaks up or a partner who has given up? Do you want someone who still tries to fix the small things or someone who has decided it's not worth the energy anymore? Because silence doesn't always mean satisfaction. Sometimes it means someone stopped believing the relationship was safe enough to grow in. If this episode feels uncomfortable, please sit with that. Not to defend yourself, not to explain, just to notice. Has someone in your life gone quiet lately? Did they used to want to talk and then suddenly you've noticed they stopped? Do you see silence as peace or do you get curious? And if you're the one who went quiet, ask yourself, did I stop talking because I was okay or because I was tired of being shut down? Silence isn't always the problem. Avoiding hard conversations is. Connection doesn't come from comfort. It comes from honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. If someone is still trying to talk to you, still bringing things up, still reaching, that's care. Quiet should never be confused with peace without curiosity. If this episode resonated, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Especially someone who thinks silence means everything is fine, which is often not. And if you're in a season of stepping out of survival mode and choosing yourself more honestly, my book, When Survival is No Longer the Answer, was written for that place. You can find it through the link in my bio. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next episode of I Am Spies, the podcast. Love you guys.
And remember, we're unfiltered, unapologetic, and unstoppable. That's that.